Come on, thing. There we go. I have to sneeze. I love when I have to sneeze. Evening, Chris. Like as soon as I hit record, I gotta sneeze. That's always the best. We got lots to cover tonight. I don't know. There we go. There we go. I just got home, you guys. I literally got home, ran out, fed the animals, grabbed some salad for dinner, jumped on here. Thank you, Lord. The live was ready yesterday. And what? And I've just been on the go all day today from first thing this morning. Yes, I hear you, but I don't care. My sheets aren't even dry yet. I washed them this morning and they're not even dry yet. I may be in big trouble. You're being super quiet. Hey, Chris. Hey, Brett. I'm in a mood tonight, you guys. I'm ready to fight somebody. It's going to be the guy that was causing my road rage all morning. I was in a hurry, of course, all day today. That whole thing that Christians are never in a hurry, no, not true. And I was literally in a big hurry today, trying to get 101,000 things done. Hold on, I'm turning this down. And yeah, no, people in front of me wanted to do 30 miles an hour in a 55. What do I do in the middle of a battle? I pray. Right? Oh, it was bad. And it was a long line of them, and you would get past one and you would be stuck behind the next one and then stuck by, like, they're going faster. Like they passed the people in front of me and then slowed down. That drives me more nuts than anything. If you're going to be a tourist in Yosemite, drive fast. Because those of us that live here, we know we got places to go. Not really. We have nowhere to go. But I had places to go. I had to get down. Hey, I had to get down to Fresno. I was busy. I had doctor's appointments. And if you don't make a doctor's appointment 15 minutes early so that they can be 45 minutes late, then they're going to cancel you. You have to be there early so that they can be late. Yeah, I did. I mean, I got all good news, so there's that. I got a ton done. My garden is in. So that's nice. Well, I was going to talk about Willie. He's sleeping on the couch already. He's had a long day. I had to rush home from my first doctor's appointment to pick him up, get him to the vet, do my second doctor's appointment by phone when they called him back for his doctor's appointment. And he is not a metabolic issue. It's not a neurological issue. It's nothing but epilepsy. How does my hair feel today? It's kind of feels a little crunchy, actually. So I feel like I didn't get all the mousse out. So it's just epilepsy. They gave him, my dog gets Valium. So who figured? My dog is chill. I mean, you don't get much more chill than that dog, but yeah, I guess the Valium is what they give them to calm seizures. It lessens the seizure, and he now gets 3 pumps of omega-3 fatty acids on chicken once a day. So that should help calm anything in his brain that's causing the epilepsy. So, yeah, my spoiled dog just got a little more spoiled, pretty much. But they fell in love with him, and his blood work came back perfect. Everything, liver, kidneys, everything is perfect. Vet said there's nothing that he can find wrong with this dog. You guys can't hear my music. Yeah, so it was all good news for him. It was good news for me. Mine was good. Um, yeah, I had to go get blood work done. So my doctor took, I think, 12 vials of blood. Barely made that on time, but I got there. So yeah, it was all good news tonight. I could probably take this off now. I love that they use vet wrap. I guess it's not vet wrap when it's a doctor, huh? She got me good too. But I have really good veins. So what do you call them? Phlebotomists. Yeah, they love doing mine because my veins pop. So they like doing mine. We're going to have fun tonight, guys. We're not really going to have fun tonight. You know when I say we're going to have fun tonight that we're in for it. Uh-huh. Plus, I got my boot kicking. Music on. I'm tired. You guys, I'm tired. The Lord did not let me sleep in this morning, and I really wanted to. My ego, my pride. There we go. Guys, if you haven't already listened to my playlist, my praise playlist, there's a reason I call it my badass praise playlist. I'm real with you guys, okay? I'm real. If there's one thing you're going to get from me, it's real. I'm going to tell you about the road rage I had at somebody today where I was screaming, Lord, make them move either forward or out of the way. And screaming praise songs doing 85 miles an hour on my way to church. I was going to be late. I had to do slides. Come on. The Lord sends his angels before me. I'm going to be real with y'all. See, Brett, now my y'alls are coming out. I'm getting better. I don't say you all, I say y'all. What's the other one I used to always say that used to drive you nuts? You guys? Was it you guys? I used to do you guys's. Yeah, it was you guys. That's what I thought it was. Now it's just y'all. I don't do it as much. I'll say you guys like when I'm addressing you guys. I don't say y'all then. That's not a y'all moment. They're all y'all moments. All y'all. They're all y'all moments. Did I start that? Okay, I did. I need something in that back corner. A y'all girl. Hey, as much as I'm riding these days, definitely not a city girl anymore. The city done beat out of me. No more city girl. I can't even go into the city anymore. What are you meowing at? The flies? Got my garden in. Well, half of it. They didn't have the plants I wanted. The 20th. I'm going to go get them on the 20th. Yeah. So I've got Gypsy for another 2.5 weeks. Only Gypsy for another 2.5 weeks. And then Whiskey will be here too. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that with 2. Hey, Tim. It's going to be difficult with 2. But I can only do what I can do. Just the best I can. I got to get them trimmed again too. And there's a possibility I might be having a wedding here. Not mine. Hey, girly. Did you sneak in? I didn't see you come in. Okay. All right, guys, let's get this thing started. We got lots to go over tonight. I'm going to pray us in. I had to laugh yesterday. I was doing slides at church. And whenever I do slides at church, it's no big deal. I'm just up there. I'm there for the practice so that I know how they're going to go through the songs, what order, when they're going to repeat anything. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I haven't had this happen to me in a while. All of a sudden, the pastor's wife who leads the worship leader, looks at me and says, "Would you lead us in prayer before we start?" Sure. Okay. I haven't been asked to lead in prayer for a long time other than on the live. So it kind of threw me for a second. I was like, what am I praying? And I didn't realize it. I just started praying over it. And I was praying that the Holy Spirit would fall in this place, that it would fall in the church, that those would hear the message and the worship, would get that feeling of God covering them, that his Holy Spirit would fill them. It did not dawn on me. Yesterday was Pentecost, you guys. Yesterday was Pentecost. Yesterday was the day of Pentecost. It was Pentecost Sunday. And now that I bring that up, it applies to tonight's message. Go figure. Like he had a plan or something, huh? All right. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time together. We thank you for drawing us close. We thank you for bringing each one in here, Lord. We know that you have a plan and a purpose for each of us, and that you are using these stories of Joseph and David as we go through different circumstances in our lives, Lord. And you are using each of these to give us lessons and wisdom and guidance on how to move in this situation. You're in a moving period right now. We're in a season where you're telling us to be still, but we're watching you act out exactly the purposes and the plans that you have for us. And so, Father, I just pray that you will give each one of us the perseverance, because as those things are happening, as your promises are coming to pass, as your movement is taking place, the enemy sees it and he is attacking us to get us to turn away from you. And so, Father, I just pray that you will give each one of us a steadfast heart, that you will give each one of us a heart after David, one that holds and clings to you and seeks you above all things in our lives. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Let me go back to my page. All right, guys. Why is this not bright? I need brightness. There we go. I can see now. Look at that. Love when I can see. All right. So last week, we finally got to meet David. We've gone through Joseph. We know all about Joseph. We actually met Saul first, who is the current king of Israel. And now we got to meet David last week in 1 Samuel 16. He's the youngest son of Jesse. Now, keep in mind, he is a descendant of Rahab the prostitute. This is the one who saved the spies when when Joshua went into Jericho, when the Israelites first crossed over the Jordan to go into Jericho, and Joshua sent 2 spies, she is the one who received those 2 spies. And because of that, she and her family lived. Hers is the lineage that produced David, the youngest son of Jesse. This is also the great grandson of Ruth, as in Ruth and Boaz, Ruth, as in Book of Ruth, Ruth, as in Moabite woman who is redeemed and saved because of her faithfulness to her mother-in-law and to the God of her mother-in-law. And because of this, God gave her a special place, and she is the great grandmother of David. Okay, so when Samuel goes to anoint the new king, David wasn't even invited. Now, we already saw him anoint Samuel. We already saw Samuel anoint Saul. Saul messed up big time because he decided not to obey God. He decided to be arrogant and obnoxious and do it his own way. Literally went out to go set up a monument to himself. And that's where Samuel finds him sacrificing things he wasn't supposed to be sacrificing multiple times, and says, you know what? God's taken this kingdom away from you. He's already finding one of your neighbors to be the new king. You've already lost it. You've lost it before you began, because God knows what you're going to do. So then Samuel goes and is going to anoint the new king. He is going to pull in that new person and announce that new person that God has chosen for his people. David wasn't even invited to the party. He was out doing the job he had been sent to do, which was caring for the sheep. Now, keep in mind, shepherds were the lowest of the low. Shepherds, and the job of a shepherd was basically who the youngest was given the job, the least was given the job, the servants were given the job. This was the job nobody else wanted. And this was the job that most other nations didn't even want to take care of livestock. They put their slaves in charge of it because it was so menial of a task. And here is where we find the next king, the one that God has actually chosen, because he is most like God, that he seeks God most. So we're told in 1 Samuel 16 that God chose David not because he's handsome or tall or that he looked like a king, but because of his heart. Now, he wasn't invited to the party, and you might consider him ignored and forgotten and overlooked, and we've all been there. But David pursued God's righteousness and his will despite these things. He pursued God's ways despite these things. Sir, you need to be gone. You cannot rub on the computer. You cannot rub in my hands. Go. So we're about to see that part that's pursuing God wholeheartedly and seeking nothing more than God's approval. Thank you. We do not need your tail in front of the camera. Thank you. Okay. Gotta love my animals. Gotta love my animals. 1 Samuel 17, we're in the Message. The Philistines drew up their troops for battle and deployed them at Sukkah in Judah, and set up camp between Sukkah and Azekah at Ephes Dammim. Saul and the Israelites came together, camped at Oak Valley, and spread out their troops in battle readiness for the Philistines. The Philistines were on one hill, the Israelites on the opposing hill, with a valley in between them. Now let's picture this, you guys. We've all seen the movies. We all know what it looks like to have a valley between 2 hills. They are both camped, set up, ready for battle up on these hills with a valley between them. The only place that they can go fight is in that valley or up on each other's hill. If you go to the hill, somebody else has the upper hand. All right. A giant nearly 10 feet tall stepped out from the Philistine line into the open, into the valley. Goliath from Gath. He had a bronze helmet on his head and was dressed in armor, 126 pounds of it. He wore bronze shin guards and carried a bronze sword. His spear was like a fence rail. The spear tip alone weighed over 15 pounds. His shield bearer walked ahead of him. Goliath stood there and called out to the Israelite troops, "Why bother using your whole army? Am I not Philistine enough for you? And you're all committed to Saul, aren't you? So pick your best fighter and pit him against me. If he gets the upper hand and kills me, the Philistines will all become your slaves. But if I get the upper hand, you'll become our slaves and serve us. I challenge the troops of Israel this day. Give me a man. Let us fight it out together." When Saul and his troops heard the Philistine challenge, they were terrified and lost all hope. Hey, Ryan. I thought you weren't going to make it on tonight. All right. So here's the thing. This is a good reminder of how the enemy works for us. And a lot of us have been feeling it so incredibly strongly. I have seen message after message after message, you guys, on my TikTok from people saying, wow, the warfare's been intense this week. Wow, the warfare's been intense this week. Wow, it just keeps getting more intense. We all feel this shift. Like suddenly the enemy is desperate. This is how he works. He is going to go out there and he's going to taunt your weaknesses, like where you've fallen already. He's going to taunt your lack, especially when you're looking at how big his size is. Like he's going to come there and tell you, I'm so much bigger than you. I'm so much smarter than you. I know scripture better than you. I've been here longer. So when I ask you, did God really say that? It's because I know you don't know your scripture as well as you should. And I can point out areas that might be questionable to you. Did God really say what you think he said? And with this enemy, size matters. In his brain, size matters because he thinks he's the biggest. So think about those guys with big egos, big trucks, like dachshunds. They don't know they're little dogs. They think they're big dogs. My dachshund will take on a full-size buck. I've seen him take on a 3-point buck like it's nothing, and he weighs 10 pounds, but he doesn't know he weighs 10 pounds because he pushes Sully around and thinks he can push anything around. That's what the enemy is. He is nothing but a big bully. He wants to convince you that you don't have the authority of God. You don't have the power of God. You don't have the rights that God has given you. You don't have the forgiveness of God. He wants to convince you that you are much smaller and less worthy than what you are. And if he can do that, and if he can get you to try to do it in your own strength and leave God out of the equation, he knows he can win. Because if you step out of God's will and do it on your own, if you let your ego lead you, if you let your own desire to please God lead you, instead of your desire to seek God, because there is a difference, then you are going to have your doubt conquer your faith. The enemy is going to use that shackle on you to break you. So it says here that they heard. This is the word Shema. We've talked about Shema before. Shema is the way we are supposed to listen to God. It means that there's an active listening. You're really intently listening to the words, comprehending the words, understanding the words, and then you're obeying them. In other words, you're taking it to heart. You're really, really taking it to heart. And there's that obedience that's attached to it. And if they heard this in this way, of course they were terrified because they believed him. Get your tail out of my face, please. They had faith, but they had faith in the enemy, not faith in God. But how many times have you done this? How many times have I done this? How many times have we seen the size of the enemy or the obstacle that we're facing and then thought, he's bigger than me. He's stronger than me. I can't do anything here. I don't know what to do. And then they get so demoralized, or I get so demoralized by the enemy in my ear and his yapping, because that's really all Goliath was doing, was pacing and yapping. He was a blowhard. He was literally just talking smack. We see it with every single boxing match. It's the person that's going to stand up there and talk the talk. And what they're doing is they're trying to mentally get into their enemy's head. Words don't equal truth unless they come from God. Let me say that again. No word equals truth. Not the enemy's words, not your words, not somebody else's words. And I don't care if they're good words or bad words. I don't care if they're uplifting words, and I don't care if they're demoralizing words. No word equals truth unless it comes from God. Okay, so half the battle was already won just by Goliath's words. You can declare and decree something all you want, but if it's not God, you're just a windbag like Goliath. And this is where I say it doesn't matter how good or bad your word is. If you go around saying, Lord, I know you're giving me a kingdom marriage. Lord, I declare and decree that this kingdom marriage will be mine. It will be restored to the right place at the right time that you have for me. And if God has not told you that he has a kingdom marriage for you, he might. But if it hasn't come from him, it is you declaring and decreeing it. God is not obligated to put his hands on a promise and bless it just because you want him to. He is not obligated to bless something that you say in a heightened emotional state or a scared state or a state of trying to beat the enemy in a battle that God did not call you into. Okay? So in this moment, Saul shows his true colors. This was a battle that was in front of him. Saul is the king. Okay. He is the leader of the Israelites at this point. And it tells us in what, Samuel 13, 1 Samuel 13, that he was a head and shoulders above the rest. Wouldn't you think he's the natural choice then to go fight Goliath? He's the biggest guy they've got, a head and shoulders above everyone else, and the king, and he's skilled at battle. Wouldn't you think that that would be the natural choice? Is for him to go into battle? This is the man who looked the part, but we found him hiding in luggage when Samuel tried to anoint him in front of everybody. This is the same man who is now the anointed king, and he's terrified. The Saul in your situation, that thing that is in front of you that you think is the real thing. So this is just, I guess I'm going to prophesy over somebody. Because that Saul that's in your situation, that thing that you thought was real, that thing that you thought was the blessing of God, that was really you putting your hand on something, that thing that was your Ishmael that you put in place, the king that you made in your life, whether it's a career that you went out and got when God told you to stay someplace, whether it's the solution you have to a medical issue, if it's the car that you know you really can't afford, if this is the relationship that you know God told you to walk away from, but you decided it's good enough and it looks pretty on paper, so you're going to stay there. Whatever that thing is, it can't stand in the face of adversity. It's going to run and hide. I know this from experience. It can't face the coming battle because its foundation is not in God. It's already been rejected by him. God told the Israelites this: I've already rejected Saul as king. I've already chosen a new one. But they were still following him. And what happened was they were just as terrified as he was. Enter David. He was the son of Jesse, the Ephrathite from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse, the father of 8 sons, was himself too old to join Saul's army. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to war. The names of the 3 sons who joined up with Saul were Eliab the firstborn, the next Abinadab, and third Shammah. David was the youngest son. While his 3 oldest brothers went to war with Saul, David went back and forth from attending to Saul. Remember, he plays so that the evil spirit will leave him, to tending his father's sheep in Bethlehem. That's a journey, daily. Each morning and evening for 40 days, Goliath took his stand and made his speech. One day, Jesse told his son David, take this sack of cracked wheat and these 10 loaves of bread and run them down to your brothers in the camp, and take these 10 wedges of cheese to the captain of their division. Check in on your brothers and see whether they are getting along all right, and let me know how they're doing. Saul and your brothers and all the Israelites in their war with the Philistines in the Oak Valley. David was up at the crack of dawn and, having arranged for someone to tend to his flock, took the food and was on his way just as Jesse had directed him. He arrived at the camp just as the army was moving into battle formation, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines moved into position, facing each other, battle ready. David left his bundles of food in the care of the sentry, ran to the troops who were deployed, and greeted his brothers. While they were talking together, the Philistine champion Goliath of Gath stepped out from the front lines of the Philistines and gave his usual challenge. This is day 41. David heard him. The Israelites, to a man, fell back the moment they saw the giant, totally frightened. The talk among the troops was, have you ever seen anything like this? This man openly and defiantly challenging Israel. The man who kills the giant will have it made. The king will give him a huge reward, offer his daughter as a bride, and give his entire family a free ride. In other words, he would get rid of his taxes. Let's pause here. So we're told again that David is the baby of the family. This is usually going to be the least of these. It's the most overlooked as far as inheritance. It's the least likely one to get the best of anything. So remember Benjamin getting the 5 times helping when we were talking about Joseph? That when he went and ate dinner at Joseph's house, that Joseph gave him 5 times more than what everybody else got. This was kind of unheard of. So imagine being at the table with parents and 8 boys. The youngest is going to get the leftover scraps. You're going to be the one who's fighting to pick the marrow out of the bone. Like, you're going to get nothing. Like Joseph, David's father sends him on an errand, and he's willing to go, not just be ready to go, but he's also responsible. He arranges for the care of the sheep. This is his stewardship. This is where we get to see him in charge and caring for those he's in charge of. So it's not just people that he cares about. It's sheep, it's animals, it's his family's business that he's taking care of. So we already knew he was hardworking because it tells us that he would come and go to Saul. So he's playing for Saul in the palace, and then he's going to work as a shepherd, and then he's coming back to play for Saul because that's his king. He looks up to him. The guy is literally like 15, 16 years old and working 2 full-time jobs at this point. And remember these names? These are the same 3 brothers that Samuel names in 1 Samuel 16. These are the ones that Samuel thought God had chosen for king. Like when he saw Eliab, he thought, this must be him. The Lord was like, nope, don't judge by appearances. It's not him. And then it names the other 2. We're about to see why God did not choose them. We're about to see why God saw that they were lacking. David, who was talking to the men around him, asked, what's in it for the man who kills the Philistine and gets rid of this ugly blot on Israel's honor? Who does he think he is anyway, this uncircumcised Philistine taunting the armies of God alive? They told him what everyone was saying about what the king would do for the man who killed the Philistine. Okay, notice David's perspective here. Everyone else sees a giant. He sees an uncircumcised Philistine. That was like, you're a peon. You're nothing. Hey, Mary, you're a worthless POS. And then the Israelites see him challenging Israel. David sees him as taunting God and his elect. So he immediately puts it into the perspective of he's insulting God versus he's insulting these people. It's he is not worthy of God versus this man is huge. David is not seeing the obstacle. He's seeing the obstacle already beaten. Does that make sense? So the Israelites had no plan on fighting. The man who does this gets these things. In other words, it's someone else's problem. Nope, not me, not me. And you guys have all known people like this. And to be fair, we've all been this person too. With that's a you problem. It's not a me problem. That's a you problem. Have fun with that one. Come get me if you need me. Nope, don't come get me. All right, so Eliab, his older brother, heard David fraternizing with his men and lost his temper. What are you doing here? Why aren't you minding your own business, tending that scrawny flock of sheep? I know what you're up to. You've come down here to see the sights, hoping for a ringside seat at a bloody battle. What is it with you? Replied David. All I did was ask a question. Ignoring his brother, he turned to someone else, asked the same question, and got the same answer as before. The things David was saying were picked up and reported to Saul. Saul sent for him. Master, said David, don't give up hope. I'm ready to go and fight this Philistine. All right, so here's some things that we need to notice because this is something we are going to go through. Eliab's insults are public. He insults David's job that is from his family. He insults the scrawny flock in order to elevate his own position, to make himself look better because he's at war. Well, you know what? You're not doing anything. You're standing here just as afraid of everyone else. And that was part of the problem, was David's bravery in doing this and telling Saul, I got this. I got this for us. It highlights his older brother's cowardice. It highlights Saul's cowardice. Eliab in this point is projecting what he's ashamed of in himself onto David. I know what you're in here for. I know what you're doing. No, you don't. You only know what you're doing. Others are going to want to bring you down to their level. I know what you want to do. I know what you're thinking. Because here's the thing. When you are following God wholeheartedly, you are not going to think and act and do things the way normal people will. The way people of the world will. And I say that very cautiously and carefully because I'm not saying Christians, but I'm not saying Christians. because there are a lot of people who call themselves Christians who do not act like Christians at all. They do not walk after God. And there are a lot of people who are seeking God who are not Christians, but are living according to his ways, trying to find him. So you have to be very, very careful. This is one of those situations of you'll know them by their fruit, not by their name. Okay. So they're going to want you to bring you down to their level. Come down here with us. Do things like us. You can date. You can go turn up at the club. You can go to the strip club. You can play video games all day. That is not what God has called you to. If God has called you to put your hand to the plow and do something, he expects you to do it in obedience. Them coming down to that level, bringing everybody else to that level, all they're doing is trying to get this mass mentality of victimization and victimhood. They did the same thing that the Israelites did with Joshua when they came back, when Moses sent the 10 spies, and they all came back except for 2. All 10 of the other ones came back saying, oh, they're too big. We can't do this. Nope. We just got to give up. Sorry. It's great. It's great. But there's no way we can do it. And there were 2, Joshua and Caleb. And guess who the only 2 were who got to go into the promised land? Joshua and Caleb. Why? Because they didn't go down to the same level as the rest of the Israelites. They didn't sink down into that mire of disbelief and doubt. And that's what other people are trying to do with you in this time. You are trying to move in something that God has told you to move in. He is taking you straight up to an obstacle, to a giant that's taunting you, an enemy that is facing you, and you are looking at it going, and everyone else is telling you, stop it. You can't do this. You can't do this. Because here's the thing. David's reaction is to ignore his brother and ask someone else. This is what our reaction has to be. I don't like your answer. I'm going to go talk to you. Oh, no, I don't like your answer either. I'm going to go talk to you until you find some people behind you who are going to support you. And they're going to back you. And those are the people who are going to pray for you. They're going to pray God's will be done in this. They're going to pray, if you think you heard him, let's go. I'm with you on that. So even Saul tries to discourage him. He tells Saul, I'm going to do this for you. Don't be disheartened. Don't lose hope. I got this for us. I got this. God is with me. And no one else is offering any help. And Saul looks at it and is like, people are going to start talking. Good and bad. You are not going to believe how many people are going to start talking. Good and bad. You're not going to believe what people are saying. Good and bad. Stick a pin in this because we're coming back to this. Okay. But I need you guys to really get that point that people are going to talk. Put a pin in that and hold on to that. Saul answered David, you can't go and fight this Philistine. You're too young, too inexperienced, and he's been at this fighting business since you were born. David said, I've been a shepherd tending sheep for my father. Whenever a lion or bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I'd go after it, knock it down and rescue the lamb. And if it turned on me, I'd grab it by the throat, wring its neck, and kill it. Lion or bear, it made no difference. I killed it, and I'll do the same to this Philistine pig who is taunting the troops of God alive. God, who delivered me from the teeth of the lion and the claws of the bear, will deliver me from this Philistine. Saul, like everyone else, is looking at the outward appearance, what they see with their eyes. You, children of God, are looking at what you see with your eyes. Right now, in this movement period of God, we cannot look at what you see with your natural eyes. It is not about what you see with your eyes. Your eyes are flawed. Your vision is clouded. If you've ever gone through a country road in the fog, you know what I'm talking about. You are so disoriented and you can't see anything, and you don't know if you've gone a mile or 50 feet. You can't tell. You get so disoriented because the sound doesn't come back at you the right way, and the lights bounce off of things differently. And you're like, wait, is that the tree that's the landmark that I need? Or is that the tree it throws you off? So incredibly difficult. But this is what happens when we're trying to look at things that God has promised you and things that you feel like God is moving on. You can feel him making movement on something, but you see nothing. And you're like, but I know what you're telling me. I know what I'm hearing. I know what I'm feeling. Like the Holy Spirit is on this, but I see nothing still. Don't trust your eyes. What the outward appearance is not truth. One of my favorite lines in the Bible, and it's kind of a perfect picture of every believer's story. Every believer who really walks with God, who seeks God wholeheartedly, that Deuteronomy, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. This is the whole thing encompassed into one. Is Saul telling David, you can't do this because of this, and David looking at him and going, I got God, bet. Because that is the audacity and the boldness that we are supposed to have in God. Hey, Ron, that is the strength and the confidence, the Godfidence that we are supposed to have when God tells you something's going to happen. And so when the enemy comes at you and starts taunting you and telling you why it's not going to happen, how it can't happen, this is not going to, that's not going to, you can't, because you just look at him and go, I got God, bet. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. David, this is not arrogance. This is faith. Because David's confidence here, his boldness, the audacity, was not in himself. He wasn't saying, well, I can fight a lion and I can fight a bear. He's saying, God has delivered me from the lion and the bear. He's going to do it now. He didn't know when he was fighting lions and bears that it was training. He just knew he was protecting the herd, but it was his training for this moment. What if he had said no? What if he hadn't protected the herd? Would God have brought him to this position? Thank you, Bodhi. Would he have actually allowed him to step in as king? You don't realize when God is training you. That job you don't want to be at, that's training. That relationship problem that you're going through, that's training. That breakup, that illness that you're having to face, those are training. There is so much bigger ahead of you. Every single thing you're going through is going to be training for something and someone else. Okay, so one of the things I wrote down here is one thing I know, two things I'm certain. And I was like, wait, where did that just come from? And I had to laugh because it's in Ecclesiastes. You will not recognize the way God is moving in your life until you look backward. This has happened to me over and over and over and over again. I am going to be 52 years old and God is still telling me, go back and look at your journal from last month. Why? Because you want clarity? Go back and look at your journal from last month. And I'm like, oh, you did this and you did this and you did this. And I see your hand here. And I didn't see it in the moment. I'm literally writing it down. I am scribing as he tells it to me. And I still didn't catch it until I look back. As much as we say you cannot live your life looking in the rearview mirror, sometimes the rearview mirror is necessary in order to get proper perspective of where you're going. Okay. It's that hindsight is 2020 thing. Why? Because of your expectation. It's always this way, you guys. When you are looking at something facing forward and God gives you a promise, let's say he says you're going to have a new home, okay, that you're going to be moving into a bigger, better home. Okay, first off, this new, bigger, better home, and I'm not saying God's not promising you a home, but there's a purpose in it, and you better appreciate the home that you're in now, because he can't bring you to better until you appreciate what you've got. And until you take care of what you've got. So you expect it to go a certain way. Well, I'm just going to be in this house and then suddenly I'm going to get a down payment and I'm going to move into this new big nice house. Nope. I can almost guarantee that's not how it's going to happen. It's going to happen in stages and steps, and it's going to be backwards and then forwards and then backwards again. And you're going to fall down and get back up. And it's going to be these rabbit trails that end up leading to this place. And you look back and you're like, how did we get here? And then you suddenly see the path was clear. You just didn't see it because you were walking forward. Daniel 3:13 through 18. Then Nebuchadnezzar in a furious rage commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, "Is it true that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you are ready when you hear the sound of the hornpipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music to fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands?" Sounds like somebody else taunting God, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image you have set up." Saul said, "Go and let God help you. Be careful who has your ear and your respect. Because even those you look up to are going to tell you it's crazy. But here's the thing, it's only crazy until God does it. It's only crazy for Noah to build an ark until it starts raining. It's only crazy for Sarah to believe she's going to have a baby until she has one at 99. It's only crazy to believe that someone is going to rise from a tomb until they do. Then Saul outfitted David as a soldier in armor. He put his bronze helmet on his head and belted his sword over the armor. David tried to walk, but he could hardly budge. David told Saul, "I can't even move with all this stuff on me. I'm not used to this." And he took it all off. People are going to try to get you to do it their way. They're going to do it in ways that they understand. They're going to do, just wait, Manny, just wait. Ways that they think God is going to work. The ways that they've seen it before. Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." Do not try to do it the way that God has with others. He has a way that's right for just you. So don't try to copy what others do. So when I first came on TikTok, I had been like, "Okay, Lord, first off, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this." And he said, "I don't care. I'm telling you to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. So you want me to get on and you want me to talk to people on TikTok. Fine, I'll talk to people on TikTok." So I was literally fixing my dinner, talking to people. And I was, then later, New Year's Eve of 2023. What's this? 2025. So it would have been 2022. New Year's Eve. I think it was 2022. He told me, "Now I want you to get on and start talking about my word." I was like, "Yeah, nope. That's not what we do here, Lord." And he's like, "I don't want you to do it like other people." I said, "I'm not equipped for this. I'm not trained for this. I don't know what I'm doing enough for this." And those of you who were here since the beginning, you know it's different. It's different now, but it's not different. It's a little different, but a little same. It's transitioned and changed over time, but it's still the same gist. It's still the thing that God has called me to do in the way he has called me to do it, not like anybody else. I'm not getting on here prophesying to people. I'm not getting in here putting people in boxes all the time. I'm not getting on here copying your favorite pastors as they have conversations. I've been in other lives. I know what other lives are like, and God told me, stop going. Stop going to other people's lives because I don't want you doing it like they do it. Not because there's anything wrong with the way that they do it, but that's not how he wants me to do it. That's not what he wants to use me for. So don't try to copy. Don't try to copy and paste what other people are doing so that God will bless yours the same way he has blessed theirs. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to copy and paste what God has done with someone else because you get a copy paste blessing. It's not. And sometimes his hand is off of it altogether at that point because you're not leaning on him. You're not listening to him. You're listening to them. Okay. And then if it's not what God told you to do, don't do it. So you're going to have people who are going to argue, cajole, explain, and logic you to death. Let them. Thank them. Right? Do it the way that God tells you to do it for his purpose, not your own. Because as soon as you start seeking your own purpose, you start doing exactly what Saul did. You start doing it in disobedience to God and setting up monuments to yourself. You have to, I have been very careful to only look at numbers for the lives. I used to be a numbers girl. Oh, I was a numbers girl back when I was a writer. Everything was on data and statistics and how many followers and how many people are looking and how many people showed up and how many people are in the analytics and how many are men and how many are women and who is actually staying. And I was an analytics girl. So I could read the analytics of these lives, you guys. I have deliberately not. Like, I know when we've doubled in our numbers or we've cut back and halved our numbers. I know when God does that, but I always take it to him and I'm like, Lord, did I do something or do I need to do something? And he'll be like, no, because I want to be very careful not to do what David does later and sin by taking a census and putting my faith in numbers instead of my God. That's a little sidebar because that's not for a couple of weeks. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make is you do it for his purpose, not yours. My purpose here is not to build a following. It's not to build a foundation of people. It's not to build a church. It's not to do any of those things. My purpose in this is do what God said to do. When he tells me to do it, get up and do it. And right now, these are the lives that he's told me to do. He has not told me to do the messages, the shorter messages very often. A lot less often than what they were. And he has not told me to do it in any other way. He has not told me to step out and teach at our church again. Those things, yes, there have been times and periods and seasons, but right now I only do what he says. And you have to do it the way God says to do it. Because if you don't do it the way God says to do it, other people are going to get in your ear. And they're going to start tweaking things that God has told you. And they're going to start twisting it until it's manipulated and you don't recognize it. And then you don't know what was God and what was people, what was man and what was God. Then David took his shepherd's staff, selected 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in the pocket of his shepherd's pack, and with his sling in his hand approached Goliath. As the Philistine paced back and forth, his shield bearer in front of him, it's 2-on-1 here, mind you. He noticed David. He took one look down on him and sneered. A mere boy, apple-cheeked and peach-fuzzed. Keep in mind, David is only like 16. Goliath is probably in his 30s and 10 feet tall. We know that David's not the tallest in his family. The Philistine ridiculed David. Am I a dog that you come after me with a stick? And he cursed him by his gods. Come on, said the Philistine. I'll make roadkill of you for the buzzards. I'll turn you into a tasty morsel for the field mice. The enemy is going to taunt you louder, push back more, fight harder. Why? Because he's afraid. You know how when you were growing up and the schoolyard bully, because we all had them, would fight, and pick at somebody until somebody fought back. And once you fought back, they would back down. Why? Because they're really a coward. The enemy is the same way. The obstacles that he's putting in front of you, they're going to come at you harder. And if you haven't felt it this last week or two, then you're maybe not in this place in this season, because I'm telling you, everybody in this season right now is feeling it big time. No matter how we are still pushing forward for God, because really every single person I've talked to who's having this go on with them right now is the attitude is, but I'm not backing down. I'm not turning from God. So give me your best shot. If I die, I die. If we go into the fiery furnace and God doesn't, fine, but I'm going to go into the fiery furnace believing him. That's the attitude that everybody has right now is, you know what? If it's the end of me, it's the end of me, but it's going to be the end of me in faith, not in fear. And the enemy is scared of that. And so he comes at you harder. He comes at you pushing and yelling and taunting harder and louder. You got to expect it. And I've used the analogy before because God gave it to me with my boys. Both of my boys used to play football. My older son, well, both of them, but especially my older son played on the line. So he played both offensive and defensive line. And a lot of the times what they taught them was lean into the hard. Because you leaning into it means you might not be making forward ground, but you're not going backward either. You keep pushing and at least holding that line, because there is going to cause a break and somebody's going down, and it ain't going to be you if you're the one still pushing. If you go down, you're going to go down on top of them and you're going to have the win. That's what God is talking about. When the enemy comes at you, expect it and go back harder. David answered, "You come at me with sword and spear and battle axe. I come at you in the name of God of the angel armies, the God of Israel's troops, whom you curse and mock. This very day, God is handing you over to me. I'm about to kill you, cut off your head, and serve up your body and the bodies of your Philistine buddies to the crows and coyotes. The whole earth will know that there's an extraordinary God in Israel, and everyone gathered here will learn that God doesn't save by means of sword or spear. The battle belongs to God. He is handing you to us on a platter." That roused the Philistine, and he started toward David. David took off from the front line, running toward the Philistine. David reached into his pocket for a stone, slung it, and hit the Philistine hard in the forehead, embedding the stone deeply. The Philistine crashed face down in the dirt. Okay. I didn't even dawn on me when I wrote this, when I put my notes down, is the other morning the Lord woke me up with, the battle is the Lord's. This battle is the Lord's. Don't try to fight it. Okay. And he would tell me, be still. Declare who the battle belongs to for yourself and the people around you. Because, Sully, there are people who are watching you and they're scared. They're terrified. Just like the troops here. They don't know what to believe or who to follow at this point. So you need to declare it for them that you may not be following me, but I'm going for God. I'm going for him because he's going to do this. It reminds you that it's not your strength or your reputation on the line. It reminds you who's actually in charge, who actually has the victory, who actually is going to make it happen, and whose strength it's going to happen in. Because here's the thing, David didn't beat him by strength. There was no might involved here. It wasn't about size. None of this was about size or quickness or even accuracy. This was no different than parting the Red Sea kind of miracle. Yes, he was skilled. Yes, he had fought lions and bears, but he even says there, he wrung their necks. He didn't throw a stone at them. Yes, he was good at it, but that's not how he killed the lion and the bear. But that's how Goliath got taken down. Don't be shocked when your enemy keeps coming. In fact, when it runs to you, even faster. When it comes at you, even more. We already know he started taunting David even more and then came running toward him. You guys, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. That's the point he's making here. It's going to look even more impossible. It's going to look like you're doomed. Run toward it. Run toward it. Because if you end here, you end here in faith. It doesn't get any more dramatic than this. I love that God is a God of drama. Like, he can tell a good story and he makes it a good story. This is 2 against 1. This is Goliath wearing 126 pounds of armor, including a bronze helmet, mind you, that had this was the only thing uncovered. And his armor bearer, his size, his experience, and his ego versus a boy of 16 with no armor, no weapons, and completely unmatched. This is the God who led the Israelites to the Red Sea with Pharaoh on their tail. There was no turning back. When Goliath runs at David, there's no turning back. He can't go run back. This is the same God who put his son in the tomb and raised him. God likes an unfair fight. He likes a fixed fight. Side note, remember a few weeks ago, I think it was the week we talked about Saul, we talked about how when Saul was anointed and they lost the ark and then the ark got put into the Philistine camp and the Philistines put it into their temple of Dagon. You notice Dagon was fallen face down in front of the ark. So the Philistines mocked God by putting him equal to their god Dagon. And then now the Philistine champion, Goliath, mocks God and ends up face down in front of God's chosen. Just a side note. What gods are you bringing God down to their level? What things are you putting God on the same level of? If you think God can't fix your situation, if you think God is not bigger than your situation, if you are doubting and thinking the enemy might be stronger in this or God's not going to do this, because that's your God. That's your God, lowercase g, quotation marks, God. That's how David beat the Philistine with a sling and a stone. He hit him and killed him. No sword for David. Then David ran up to the Philistine and stood over him and pulled the giant sword from the sheath and finished the job. I'm not going to finish that. So when the Philistines saw their great champion was dead, they scattered, running for their lives. The men of Israel and Judah were up on their feet shouting. They chased the Philistines all the way to the outskirts of Gath and the gates of Ekron. Wounded Philistines were strewn along Sharim Road all the way back to Gath and Ekron. After chasing the Philistines, the Israelites came back and looted their camp. David took the Philistines' head and brought it to Jerusalem, but the giant's weapons he placed in his own tent. We're going to keep going. Here's why. We're going to kind of skip through here a little bit. We're in 1 Samuel 18:5. Whatever Saul gave David to do, he did it, and he did it well. So well that Saul put him in charge of his military operations. Everybody, both the people in general and Saul's servants, approved of and admired David's leadership. As they returned home after David killed the Philistine, the women pouring out of all the villages of Israel, singing and dancing, welcoming King Saul with tambourines, festive songs and lutes. In playful frolic, the women sang, "Saul kills by the 1,000, David by the 10,000." This made Saul angry, very angry. He took it as a personal insult. He said, "They credit David with 10,000s and me only with thousands. Before you know it, they'll be giving him the kingdom." From that moment on, Saul kept his eye on David. The next day, an ugly mood was sent by God to afflict Saul, who became quite beside himself, raving. David played his harp, as he usually did at such times. Saul had a spear in his hand. Suddenly, Saul threw the spear, thinking, "I'll nail him to the wall." David ducked, and the spear missed. This happened twice. So David stayed for it to happen a second time. I don't know about you, but the first time somebody's throwing a spear at me, I'm out. I'm bouncing. Now, Saul feared David. You notice this went from insult to watching him to fearing him. It was clear that God was with David and had left Saul. So Saul got David out of his sight, making him an officer in the army. David was in combat frequently. Everything David did turned out well. Yes, God was with him. We've heard this before. Everything that Joseph did, God blessed. Same. As Saul saw David becoming more successful, he himself grew more fearful. He could see the handwriting on the wall, but everyone else in Israel and Judah loved David. They loved watching him in action. Then Saul offers his daughter in marriage as a way to get David to pursue the Philistines, and he comes up with this whole plan and plot to get foreskins, and David actually does it, and he didn't think he was going to get to do it, but David did, and he didn't get killed in the process. And so David is successful in this. Trust me, it's a lot that I just skipped and ran over. As Saul more and more realized that God was with David and how much his own daughter Michal loved him, his fear of David increased and settled into hate. We saw this same thing happen with Joseph's brothers. It went from jealousy to hatred. This is what's happening here. He's jealous of the song that women sing. Then all of a sudden he starts to fear him. That fear turns into loathing. That loathing turns into an attempt on his life multiple times, and then turns into plots and deliberate attempts. And now it's complete and total, unadulterated hate. Saul hated David. Whenever the Philistine warlords came out to battle, David was there to meet them and beat them, upstaging Saul's men. David's name was on everyone's lips. This is where we're going to rest for the rest of tonight. Okay, remember I told you guys stick a pin in that? This is why. David went down to battle and heard what was going on. Okay, so he goes down. His dad sends him on this errand. He goes down on this errand to go see what's going on. He's appalled that no one is answering the accusations made by Goliath and the Philistines. His brother goes after him, just like Joseph's brothers did, and starts making accusations against him personally. Then Saul calls him in and starts telling him why he can't do the thing that God has called him to do and defend Israel. Neither he or anyone else is stepping up to do it, but he's going to tell David why he can't. So then he decides, fine, but it has to be done this way. So when David refuses to do it that way, Saul basically looks at him and goes, well, it was nice knowing you. Have fun. After David's success, he continues to succeed despite Saul's jealousy, fear, and then later hatred. This is where a lot of us are at right now. A lot of us are sitting in this cesspool, is what it feels like right now. You are facing obstacles of family, friends, frenemies, straight up enemies, and the enemy all together. Like every time you try to step out with or for God, this is going on. Somebody is coming at you to tell you why you can't do it this way, how you can't do it this way. Okay, but then you need to do this. Hold on. So everything you're trying to do to move in the way that God has told you to move, you're getting pushback. And it's not always bad pushback. It can be well-meaning people. I've had it a lot of times from people in the church. I've had it even from within the group where people are like, are you sure God's telling you this? Because this seems a little, I don't know that God operates that way. And I'm like, trust me, I know it doesn't make sense. And you guys, I love the accountability that everybody in my leadership feels comfortable enough to be able to come to me and question me, to hold me accountable of, hey, you need to make sure that this is God. So, yeah, they do. They do. They absolutely will come through the church. It's not only through the church. It's like I said earlier tonight, is not everybody who calls themselves a Christian is actually a Christ following believer. And not everybody who says they are not a Christian is not a Christ following believer. You cannot go by name alone. You have to know them by their fruits. You have to be discerning, and you have to be following so closely to God. And here's the thing that none of us think about sometimes, and this is not in my notes. Sometimes God will tell you to trust people and do for people and be there for people and let people lean on you, knowing that they're going to betray you and hurt you, knowing that they are going to turn on you in the end. Part of that is exactly this. It's your training. You are there whenever you step out for God. These things are going to happen. It's part of your training. You need to know. One of the things I asked him recently, I'm like, why did you bring this person into my life? If they were just going to actively pursue my downfall, why did you bring this person into my life then? You said you were going to protect me. He said, I did protect you. I still am protecting you from them. He's like, but I need you to be able to discern wolves in sheep's clothing. And you can now. You don't get fooled now. Okay, David did nothing at this point for man. Okay, you have to stop looking for the approval of man. This is where we're really going to camp tonight now. You cannot do things for man. You have to live for God, relying 1000% on God, knowing without a doubt that God has got your back over man. And when I say man, I mean man or woman, doesn't matter. But you have to do that. How do you do that? Isolation with him, time at his feet, focus, and practice. It sounds simple. It's not. Because when God calls you, everyone and everything else has to fall by the wayside. And you guys, I know that this sounds like, oh, you just let everything else go. Oh, you just push your family to the wayside. Oh, you just don't have friends anymore. That's not what I'm saying. That's the part that's hard. That's the part that is so difficult, is when well-meaning friends come up and say something to mock you or mock a promise that God has given you, and they are Christians, and you have to look at them and be like, okay, I'm going to love them like Jesus. I have to forgive them and truly do that. Because you have to take it back to God at that point and be like, Lord, I don't like that they did that. And he's like, I know. And he reminds you, they're not mocking you. They're mocking me. What they do to you, they do to me. What you do to them, you do to me. So if you forgive them, if you love on them, if you continue to pray for them, then you are doing it for me. You are focused on me. And here's the thing, you guys, we forget so often. See, I still do the you guys. We forget so often that when we are focused on God, that doesn't mean we're so hyper focused on him that nobody else matters. It means that we're so hyper focused on what he says to do that we choose to please him over others. It's still going to hurt. Turning your back, I've said this before, and honestly, it's fine because I've said it to these people. But in my family, I'm very much the black sheep. And I was told recently, yeah, you make yourself that way. And I realized, as angry as it made me in the moment, and it did, I still have anger issues, you guys. As angry as it made me in the moment, I realized it's true. It is true that I did make myself a black sheep. I am different than everyone in my family. I choose to be different than the people in my family. I choose to live 100% wholeheartedly for God in ways that they don't understand. I'm not saying their ways are bad. I'm not saying their ways are right or wrong. I'm saying I am so focused on what God has me to do in the way he has me doing it that they don't understand it. And they don't agree with it necessarily. Again, not saying one is right over the other, but I'm right because I'm doing what I know God is telling me to do. They may be right for them. But again, you can't wear somebody else's armor. You can't do something in a way that you are not called to do. So I tried to do marriage the way I was told to do marriage. And it was such a disaster. After 26 years, it was just a disaster for everyone involved, touched, or, like individually with their hands in the pot at all, that I will never not do it 100% God's way. I would rather not have it than do it in a way that is not God's way. So I'm not going to listen to other people when they tell me you can sleep around. It's not like you're a virgin. It's not like you have 3 kids. You've been married for 26 years. What's the big deal? It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to God, and I know what he's called me to. Some people will say don't drink alcohol. Christians can't drink alcohol. Okay. Maybe for you, but if God hasn't convicted me of that and having a glass of wine occasionally, then okay. You go do it your way, and I'm going to be over here and do it my way. And when God convicts me of it, I'm going to be so wholeheartedly following him that when he says, no more, yes, Lord. That's the point we have to be at. So when God calls you, everyone else, their ways, their desires on how it has to be, what it has to look like, how you have to do it because of how they've done it. Well, it's always been done this way in the past. And I am including even church ritual. Even the way your denomination does it doesn't make it right. Okay, you have to take it back to God and discern between you and God what is right. Some of it, harmless. Absolutely harmless. Other things, not so much. So when God calls you, everything else falls to the wayside. If he isn't in first place, you're not sold out. If you aren't willing, and I know this sounds extreme. I know it sounds like, oh, wow, okay, what? You would walk away from your spouse if God told you to? Yep. And if it said, if God told me you need to let your children go, they're going to be prodigals for a while, love them, pray over them, that's what you need to do. As much as I love my children and as many tears as I would shed over it, I would do it because that's what God told me to do. You guys, I've had to do these things. I've literally had to let people hate me, let people come at me and attack me, let people lie let them. Not just like, go at them and be like, how can you say these things about? No. Sit quietly, not a word spoken while they lie and destroy my reputation. Do you need down, buddy? Do you need to get down? Okay. So here's my question. This is it. Well, I mean, it is extreme. It is extreme. If you want I'm just going to show up at church on Sunday and we're going to pray once a week and, pray over our food and we're going to pretend like we read our Bible once in a while. If that's what you want from your Christianity, yeah, this is extreme. But if you're actually following, like you said, if you're following the Spirit of God like you're supposed to, if you recognize the war that you're in, the war that is coming, and know that you are called to be a warrior in it, then this is not extreme at all. This is just the basics. So here's my question for you guys, and I'm going to throw a lot of questions at you right now. Are you done yet? Are you done pretending to be sold out for God? Are you done wearing yourself out on this performance of being a good Christian and going to church every Sunday? Because guess what? God did not tell you you have to go to church every Sunday. That's not in the Bible. Yes, it says don't give up meeting with believers. It does say that. I'm not saying it doesn't. Yes, you are supposed to still meet with other believers. Iron sharpens iron. There's a reason for that. This is a meeting with believers. But to think you have to dress just so and show up on Sunday morning and sit in that spot and sing this song exactly this way with tears coming down. And if you don't get the chills this particular week, it's not the Holy Spirit moving. And oh, that pastor just really spoke to me. And if I didn't hear him speak to me, it wasn't a good message. Are you done performing? Because if you're not legitimately seeking God in your quiet time with just you and him, none of that is going to matter. That's a performance for everybody else. Are you tired of wearing the mask of perfect Christianity wherever you go? I don't cuss. I don't drink. I don't do those things. Oh, she, on the other hand, did you see what she wore to church last week? I heard that she was at the club, and I heard that she is dating like 4 other guys, and I heard she puts out. Yeah, that is fake Christianity. That judgmental spirit is not Jesus at all. Are you tired of wanting to see what other people have when they're in church? And I am guilty of this, you guys. I used to go to church. I loved the church that we went to. And this was 15 years ago, 17 years. No, it's about 17, almost 20 years ago now. We used to go to this church and I would see people, hands raised, tears pouring down their face, just loving Jesus and talking about Jesus in this way that I just couldn't get. And I'm just like, what? Why don't I have that relationship with him? And then wondering, like, I would look at them and be like, honey, it don't take all that. No, it does. It does. When you love that much, it does. It does take all that. And you don't have to be told it takes all that. You want to give all of that when the time comes. Those people that are wearing that mask, those people that are pretending to be sold out, those people that are sitting there with all that judgment and even striving, even just that spirit of trying to strive to chase down God, you don't have to chase him. You really don't have to chase God. He'll just stand there and wait for you. Matter of fact, he'll come to you most of the time when you're really seeking him, but you're wanting to do it your way. You can't want to do it your way. You have to do it his way. And so once you discover that attitude, that's when you stop being a Pharisee and a Sadducee. Those hyper-religious hypocrites, that's literally what it means to wear a mask. It was the definition for an actor in biblical times was a hypocrite, is they would wear a mask, multiple masks on stage. Okay? It's time to start being honest with God and with others. Stop acting like a perfect Christian. This is why you guys will never hear me not be transparent and vulnerable and open about my struggles, about the things that I do. Yeah, I get road rage. Yes, I was literally doing 85 miles an hour on my way to church yesterday, singing praise songs at the top of my lungs because I didn't want to cuss out the guy in front of me doing 30 miles an hour and me getting stuck behind him. It's road rage. It's literally road rage, you guys. But at the same time, I was also praying, Lord, take this away. I've got to get there. You know this, but just keep your angels in front of me, surrounding me, and protect them when I pass them. We need to start being honest because God already knows what's in your heart. He already knows what you're thinking, feeling, doing, not doing. So that website you get on at night and then pretend like you wiped your history clean, he knows. You're not hiding it from anybody important. You're caring what you think. You're caring what the people in your household think. You're trying to hide things from people, but you can't hide it from God. You care more about what other people think than what God thinks. That's an idol. That's fake. That's a hypocrite. We need to stop playing at religion, because religion is not God. Religion is not the relationship that God wants with you. He never asked anyone, Jesus never asked you to be religious. He never asked you to be perfect. Have you met the disciples? Have you read about the disciples? God did not ever choose perfect people in the Bible. Not even Job. You don't believe me? Because it says that Job is upright. He's better than all the rest. Yeah, except for he had to pray over his kids because his kids were wilding out having parties. And he was afraid that they were going to sin. So he was praying over them, hoping he could be the go-between between them and God. Wasn't a perfect parent, obviously. God chose honest people. He chose transparent people. He chose willing people. He chose vulnerable people, and he chose obedient people. Even in your fallibilities, even in your flaws, especially because of those things. Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. Focus on God's approval, not man's. Here's why. As long as you're pursuing the approval of man, that's your reward. God tells us, that the Pharisees will stand on the street corner and they will just pray the heavens down, and they will get claps, and they just want everybody to see how holy and religious they are. And guess what? That's their reward. You've got your reward. You put on a performance for everybody. Good job. Well done. Not well done, good and faithful servant, though. You got your applause from man. That's all you get. Your reward is right here, right now. And if it isn't worth it, which it usually isn't, why are we doing it? Anything less than putting your approval, the need for approval on God, is building your foundation on sand. The approval of man is fickle, it's shifting, and the pursuit of that approval will always be a moving target based on how that person feels this day, this hour, this minute. Do you want to get down, buddy? Come here. You're so big. You guys, he weighs 21 pounds. He is supposed to be a mini dachshund, and he weighs 21 pounds. Okay. As long as you're pursuing what people think of you, you're going to be subject to the whim of their moods, emotions, feelings, their version, and their perspective of you, not truth. Remember, truth only comes from God. Other than that, it's perspective. My version of truth and this person's version of truth is not necessarily truth. It's what I think is truth. Only God knows truth. Only God knows what they were thinking, what they were feeling, what their emotions were, what their baggage was to cause those things. As long as your focus is man, there will always be missing parts in your armor and missing stones in your sling. This is going to be a stronghold of the enemy. Saul sought the approval of an army in 1 Samuel 15 and lost the kingdom because of it. He was disobedient to God, and because of that, he lost the kingdom. David sought the approval of God, not the people, and not his king or his family, and he gained a kingdom. There are always going to be times that you feel forgotten, misunderstood, overlooked, ignored, and flat out attacked by other people. David knew this, and it didn't change his faith when it happened. His faith still stood strong. Say that 10 times real fast. David's faith did not cave, wobble, topple because Saul said, you can't do it that way. You have to wear armor. He's way bigger than you. He's been doing this a lot longer than you. All of the obstacles that Saul threw at him, all those darts of the enemy, he shook them off because he had faith in God and was seeking God's approval. Nothing you say is going to change my mind. That's the strength we need to know. David knew his strength was in God. Psalm 46 tells us God is a safe place to hide, ready to help when we need him. We stand fearless at the cliff edge of doom, courageous in the sea, storm, and earthquake. Before the rush and the roar of the oceans, the tremors that shift the mountains, Jacob, a wrestling God, fights for us. God of the angel armies protects us. David wrote this, you guys. David wrote this. If your foundation is man and sand, when the hurricane of life hits, and it will, the sand is going to wash away in your entire life, including your identity is going to cave under it. You know this because you've experienced this. I've experienced this. And we have two options: stay in the sand, in the tumultuous, water tossed nothingness, trying to make everybody else help us get something back, or build it on the rock. It's time to take off your mask of looking just right, of impressing people. God isn't impressed by the false front. The facade doesn't make him smile. We've seen people judge based on appearances over and over and over again through this story. We're going to keep seeing it. God knows better. You can't hide truth from him. You're not a good enough actor. Promise. Nothing is hidden from him. And I'm not talking about sinning and then repenting. I'm not talking about messing up and asking for forgiveness. I'm talking about deliberately, willfully walking in judgment of others, especially within the church. Thinking that you're better than that person because. Thinking that you are in a loftier position because you're a deacon in the church and you've never been divorced and you've never had your spouse cheat on you and your kids have never gone crazy, except for you're on those websites every night. I'm talking about pretending you don't do things. I'm talking about judging other people who do things like cussing and drinking and smoking and suffering, who don't know God, and your judgment is pushing them because they don't look the way you think they should. Their walk with God doesn't look the way you think it should. Or it doesn't look like yours did. You're being Saul. You can't do this because, okay, well then do it this way. Stop it. Stop pulling people away from God. Stop pushing something between them and God and just let them run after him so he can stop and catch them. Stop being a stumbling block for other people seeking to know God's heart and to seek him. You can't live halfway in the world and halfway for God. David tried this. He tried to wear someone else's armor. Doesn't work, and it would have gotten us killed. Bye, Wave. Bye. Be the real you, the messed up, ugly, flawed, fallible you, the one who falls on your face with God. Be that person for everyone. Because the fallible person is the one that God can use, the one he sees as after his own heart. That's who he wants to build the church on. He didn't go to the Sadducees. He didn't go to the Pharisees. He didn't go to the people who don't believe him or believe in him. He didn't even go to John the Baptist to build his church on, you guys. Think of it that way. Jesus did not even have John the Baptist and tell him, you're my rock. I'm going to build my church on you. That's not who he picked. He said John the Baptist was the greatest man to ever live. But that's not who he picked. Who did he pick? Messed up, average, broken, flawed people that he went and met with and sat with and ate with and imbued with his spirit and rebuked and corrected and taught and had to fix and heal. You realize you're in a fixed fight, right? You guys, we are in a fixed fight. Like David, it doesn't matter the giant we face. It doesn't matter if the armor bearer is with him. We have God. It's a fixed fight. Giants tumble before him. Gods fall on their face before him. And he is coming back ready for war. And the thing is, we're so busy trying to look perfect, to look pretty, to look Instagram ready, that all we're doing is teaching people, unless you do it this way, God can't use you. God can't use your brokenness. God can't use that vase. God can't use you as a vessel. Well, I got news for you. I am probably one of the most broken, twisted, messed up vessels that I constantly keep asking him, what are you doing? Like, why? 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 Because I still cuss, you guys. I don't do it nearly as often. I'm better, but I still do it. I still have a temper. I am stubborn as all get out. Like, I could give you guys the list of things for why God should not use me. I am Peter sitting at his feet in my boat going, Lord, you need to get away because I am unclean. I should not even be able to wash your feet. I don't know why you want to use me. And his answer to me is, you said yes. You said yes. Because you allow me to use you completely. All of the flaws, all of the brokenness, all of the ugliness, all of the trauma, and you are honest about it. That I am willing to look ridiculous. Like David will say, and we will hear him say it soon, I will become even more undignified than this. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of me. They can think I'm ridiculous. They can think I'm stupid. They can think I'm crazy. They can think I'm a nut job. And people do. Trust me, people I love dearly. And I would love to have their respect and have them look at me and be like, we love her. Nope. Nope. They think I'm a nut job. But you know what? I care more about what God says and what God tells me and what God thinks of me than I do them. And I have to. I have to, because living for man broke me. And God was the one who picked up the pieces, not men. Honestly, not family, not friends, not my spouse, not my children, not the people in my church. Some of them were there for me at differing times, and some of them have backstabbed me at differing times. That's the point. Man cannot be all things to you at every moment of every day. It doesn't matter who it is. God can and is and does. I'm tired. I am wiped out now, you guys. I need my water. Where's my water? All right. So next message. Now you see what happens when he gets it done really early on the weekend. What's today? Today's Monday. Next message, we are actually going to talk about David on the run. Well, you guys, think of it this way. Pentecost, literally, when the tongues of fire fell at Pentecost, yes, Peter got to open the doors to the gates. He was the one who opened the doors for the Holy Spirit to come down on everybody. Well, technically, Jesus did, but Peter was the one keeping everybody in place and preached for it. And then here's the thing. They start speaking in tongues. What if they would have been speaking in tongues and started going, ooh, I don't want them to think I'm weird for speaking in tongues. I mean, what if that's just a heavenly language? What if I don't realize I'm speaking in a different tongue? Is it really a tongue? Do I really have the gift of that? I don't want to be embarrassed. The point is, God did so much more for you. Just in coming down as a human, took off his godness and came down as a mere human for you. I mean, just think of that. Like, his hands hold everything in place. And he was like, okay, let's take all of this and put this into a man. Just doing that, let alone the bruising, the beating, the betrayal. We're not even going into that section of it. Just the coming down into a man that he did for you. And you don't want to be embarrassed? And this is no judgment, guys, because I've been there. I've been there. And I recognize now how ridiculous it sounds when you really stop and put it into perspective. And I don't say any of this to hurt anybody, because like I said, I've been there. I've been that person. I've been the one judging other people. I've been the one being judged by other people. I've been the one wanting more and the one criticizing those who wanted more. Told you, Manny. My back is so tight, you guys. You guys, that's how I always know when a message is from God is because somebody will say something to me and I'm like, "Ooh, wait until the message tonight. Just wait." Like, they'll bring up something and I'm like, "Oh, okay, bring your shin guards and bring maybe a hockey mask while you're at it." Night, Manny. It's y'all. Ask Brett. It's y'all. Yeah. I mean, truly, Janny, we all have, but we all don't admit we have, because there's a lot of us still trying to paint a pretty picture. because we want everybody to be impressed with our pretty picture. Except for the problem is the back side of that. Have you ever seen what is it? The needlework, the needlepoint. So you look at the front of the needlepoint, it's this beautiful picture of all these different colors. Like it'll be, a bouquet of flowers, and it'll be all these different intricate knots and pretty and perfect. But you look at the back, and the back is a mess. Like it's just strings and strands across everywhere, and it's a nightmare. You couldn't untangle it if you wanted to. That's our lives as a Christian. It's a perfect picture of our lives, an analogy of our lives as Christians. Is it might look pretty on the outside, but it's a tangled up, twisted mess that you couldn't untangle if you wanted to, except God. That's how God takes something that tangled and twisted and messed up inside and makes it look pretty on the outside. It's only God that does that. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly where the message is leading for Thursday. I just know that it's going to be David on the run. Which hopefully that doesn't mean we're on the run. Because guys, we've been living this as we go through this. I don't know about you guys, but I've been so living this. Yeah, I still get it. I still get it. I still get, well, no, I don't know. Yeah. And honestly, Janny, a lot of it is good people who just don't know different. You got to remember that's how generational curses pass on, is people just don't know different. So like if you grow up seeing people get divorced in your family because it's okay to get divorced in your family and nobody gives it a second thought, and they have 2 and 3 divorces because they just want to feel in love, it becomes normal and okay and average, and nobody even thinks to question it. It's kind of like I'll give you an easy one. So cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving. Oh, I'll give you a better one. Stuffing at Thanksgiving, in the turkey or out of the turkey? Show of hands, in the turkey. Got mosquito bites, you guys. How many people have their, in the turkey? How many people have their stuffing in the turkey? They cook it in the turkey. I'm an out. Okay, here's why I ask. Okay, so out. Most people that I have talked to now are out. Why are they out? Because they've discovered, that the salmonella, all of that can get in there. Now, does it? Not if you cook it fully. But most people now are like, it's just as easy to cook it out. We don't have to stuff it in. But if you've been raised in all along, and that's just how it's been done, most of the time you're just going to copy what you've seen. This is the same reason why families will have alcoholism that continues throughout the family, addictions that continue, adultery that will continue, abuse that will continue from person to person. You don't even necessarily have to see it to know that the belief is in there, because I never saw abuse happen to certain people in my family, but I could tell by their attitudes about themselves that they didn't think they were better than that. And so they kept going back to abusive relationships, in and out of different ones. But because their mindset was, this is the best I deserve. This is the best I'm going to get. I don't deserve a good relationship. And they would just use the term that, oh, well, it's just exciting. I like the passion. No, you like the toxicity. You just don't realize you like the toxicity because you crave it like a dopamine hit. Recovering. Recovering. Okay, guys, are we done? Do you want me to pray us out so that some can leave if they want to? I'll turn off the YouTube. We had a long one tonight. It was an hour and 40 minutes. I knew this was going to be a long one. It was like 13, 14 pages. All right. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for your word, Lord. I thank you for your covering, your protection, your guidance, and your wisdom. Father, I pray that you will give each one of us discernment as we go about our week, as we learn more in the story of David, of how you work and weave this into our lives, how you keep this common thread that moves throughout the life of Joseph, throughout David's life, how you're going to show it through Peter's life, and how you're showing it through each of our own lives. Lord, how it's teaching us to seek your face first and foremost, to make you above all, and more than anything else, Lord, to cause us to become more of your chosen, to become more like your Acts 2 church that you are calling us to be. Father, we seek only to please you. And I pray that you will give each one a heart here tonight to really look at what we are doing that is seeking the approval of man over your approval, whether it's good relationships or toxic relationships. Father, I just pray that we will leave those relationships at your feet so you can do with them as you will. And in all things, that we will seek you first and foremost, that we will love you more than anything or anyone else here on this planet. And I pray these things in the mighty, beautiful name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, hang on, guys. I'm going to end this.